I think a very important thing, especially when you're young, is just try to be wrong often. Like, you don't need to get it right. Just be wrong quick and then get over it. Even in business, you have a great business idea. Most business ideas are terrible ideas, and it's not about the idea, it's about the execution. So you need to get good at the execution. So just do it. Execute, fail. Now you've learned something. Next time when you execute, hey, I learned how to make a website. Now that's a skill. And you just build this skill set into reaching to the goal that you want. You can't really one-shot things, I don't think. It's very difficult to one-shot get to exactly where you want to go and be maximally successful and rich and fit and have all these things at once. I don't think it's achievable for most people.
What do you do when life throws a challenge just before your final exams? For Shayegan Abdollahbeigi, it was a severe illness in Year 12 that almost stopped him from sitting his exams. With encouragement from a teacher, he pushed through and learned one of the most powerful lessons of his life: discipline equals freedom.
Growing up in Iran and then moving to Australia gave Shayegan a unique perspective on school. Far from being a place of limits, he saw school as a space of exploration, academically, socially, and even personally. From there, his journey has been one of breadth and curiosity, studying engineering at Monash, launching a watchmaking company, interning in motorsport, and continuing to learn and build new pathways today. And he's not even 25. In this conversation, Shayegan reflects on the mentors and parents who shaped him, and also his principle of good thoughts, good words, good deeds, and how his definition of success has shifted from chasing competition to valuing collaboration, character, and systems that sustain growth.
Shayegan's story shows the value of letting children explore widely, teaching them to work extraordinarily hard for extraordinary goals, and reminding them that setbacks are part of the process, not the end of it. Welcome to this episode of More Than a Score.
Yes, Laura!
Hello, Shayegan. How you going?
Hello. Good to see you again.
Lovely to see you. So I taught Shayegan in Year 12 biology, 3?
English.
Oh, English. Oh my gosh. English. But he would have preferred me for biology. I feel like that was your better subject,
I would have liked
wasn't
to
it?
have you for both.
Oh, yeah.
I had a great time. English was not my
No.
favourite subject whatsoever, but you did very well to teach me that even though I didn't like it, there were strategies I could implement to just do what I needed to do and get by.
Get there.
And I did get by. And you predicted my score perfectly.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
I did. I told you exactly what you'd get and you got it.
Yeah, I gave her my essay. I'm like, hey, look, I'm not interested in this. I do not care about this book. I've barely read it. And that's only because I've listened to you read it in class. What do you think I'm going to get with this? And she's like, you're going to get, 33 or 34 or something. And then I get it. It's exactly that.
Yeah.
I just needed a 25 or 30 to get into my engineering course. So.
But I said, you'll be able to get this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I needed at the time.
Yeah.
And spent all my time doing math and physics.
You did. Now, I want to talk to you about the characteristics I remember from you. So I would consider you very curious, very committed, grateful and appreciative of education and the opportunities that it awards you. And I would say you're a big picture thinker, but you like to have all the details.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely math science minded. I remember we had periods 5 and 6 together, last 2 periods of the day on a Friday, watching Rear Window, and I remember you sitting there and all of a sudden the head slumps over and you're asleep. And I'd be like, come on, Shayegan, just wake up. And you're like, I know, miss, I'm so sorry. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
But what I appreciated about that is the fact that you still gave it your all, despite the fact that you knew that English was not, it was just not your thing, but you still gave it your all. And I think that's what I admired about you as a student, for sure.
You. I was waiting for the word disagreeable to come up there a little bit.
You like to challenge people, for sure. And I think that was, you would ask a lot of questions to kind of get a lot of perspectives, and you challenge people in their thinking. And I think, you would have been 17? When would you have turned 18?
I finished school 17, I think.
Yeah, so at 17 to be asking some of those big questions and wanting to challenge people in their thinking, I think is a great skill.
Thank you. I think I've kept that with me since school. I tend to have a lot of kind of civil disagreements with people, especially about things like politics and things that come up normally. And I think it's a really good thing to be able to challenge people about their ideas in a nice way, not trying to convince anyone of anything, but trying to see, hey, do you really believe what you're saying, or are you just saying what you've heard? Like, is this really what you believe? And I think that's a good trait. And I think that should be a little bit more allowed and taught in schools.
Yeah.
How to have a disagreement about things.
For sure.
Have dialogue. And full transparency, I did not teach Shayegan. So I think that's good. And I think he first recent student of high school
Yes.
to be on the podcast,
Yes.
right, Laura?
Let's go.
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Most of the people
I'm
we've
locked
had
in,
have been quite established. I would say 20 plus years post school.
Wow.
So you're
Thank you.
2021 graduate.
Yes. I think it's probably because we kept in touch.
We did.
Which is pretty rare. I
Yeah.
didn't do that with any of my other teachers. I always just found it very easy to talk to you.
The first question we always ask, which is, were you happy with your score?
I was happy with my score.
Mm-hmm.
I got... Do you want...
Most people don't tell their score, so you don't have to. You can if you like.
I got 90, I think plus minus 0.1.
Plus or minus 0.1.
It's a good score.
You round up, okay?
It's a good score.
89.9.
That's an incredible
It's a
score.
great score.
I was, at the time, expecting more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we might get into this a little bit, but I was very sick the last couple of weeks before Year 12 exams, and I spent a lot of time while I was sick being on the verge of going, is it deferred, unscored? What is it when they use your GAT score?
Derived score.
Yeah, and I remember talking to you about it, and you actually convinced me not to do that. And you said, just, try to get to your exam and just do whatever you want to do, and then we can figure the rest out later. And I'm very grateful that we did that, because I would not have done well. I think recently I went back and I found my GAT scores and they were not good.
It's funny because you put this experience in your pre-interview thing, and I'd actually forgotten about it. But I feel like my reasoning for that was because you had worked so hard throughout the year.
Yeah.
I was pretty confident that whatever you did would showcase the fact that you had worked so hard, and I felt like it would have been a disservice to all the work you'd done if you'd gotten a derived score. I think that's where I was coming from when I said that.
Which is a very good perspective, and I'm very happy I did that.
Okay.
I did end up getting with that into exactly the course I wanted, my top preference, which was actually a higher ATAR requirement than I needed. So I don't know what happened there, but we got lucky, maybe COVID.
Well, that was going to be my question. So I'm really curious to know, because you said you were happy with that score. So what made you happy about it? What was the thing that you were going, this is going to make me happy?
Before or when I got it?
Either.
Well, as a general philosophy, I disagree with the idea of regretting things when you made the best decision at the time. With the tools I had at the time, with the study I had done, with the condition of my health at the time, that was a great score. And it got me where I needed to go. So I ticked all my boxes. If it was a higher number, that would have been cool at the time. But I don't experience social pressure as much as other people. Like, I was at schoolies when the scores came out, and there were kids that got 98s and there were kids that got 50, 60, 70s.
Yeah.
And never really felt much pressure or needed to show off. So if I got 96 instead of 90, it would have made no difference. I got into the course I wanted to get into. My parents were proud of me, even though they didn't know what it was. I sent them the email of the score, and I'm like, I'm so happy. And they call me like, hey, is that good? I'm like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So,
maybe give some background to your history and your parents to understand that.
So I was born in Iran, and my parents and I moved here, and my brother, in 2013. And they are the most lovely people, and I love them. They are so kind, very smart, everything good you could possibly say about a parent, incredibly supportive. They've given me everything I've ever needed. But having moved here, and given that they were so busy with being full-time immigrant workers working at this business they purchased, they had 2 days off a year. And they worked every day, and on Thursdays and Fridays when the shopping centers open till 9, they went from 7 to 9. And so they didn't really have much time to go and research what the school is and what the score means. They always trusted me from a very young age to figure it out. I was always a good kid. I did what I needed to do. And so they just went, we know you're going to do well. We're not going to push you. If you need something, tell us. If your calculator breaks, we'll buy you one. There's no issues.
Yeah.
But they didn't really have the context to know what's different between a 90 and a 92 and a 93. Just like, are you happy?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. And so they were happy, and we went out and celebrated and had a great time. I think maybe that's an interesting point to maybe the parents that might be listening. I think a lot of parents, especially if you're listening to something like this, you're probably very involved in your kids' education. And maybe this is a one data point that maybe you should be a little bit more hands off and teach the child that, hey, I trust you. I know that you're going to do well. And give them the tools they need to be that kind of independent thinker, independent learner, self-motivated person that you want them to be. Because you don't want them to be dependent on your satisfaction for a score, because then when they get a job, they're just going to crumble. or when they have a partner, they might crumble.
You did say, though, that you were a good kid.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
It's a good kid.
Well, I think from the perspective of my parents.
Right.
I've never been a kid that gets in trouble with anything. Wasn't really into drinking or smoking or anything like that. So like consider what you might find what your ideals are for your children.
Yeah.
Is that they're good, kind people. They don't yell at you. And you can have a conversation with them. You're proud to show them to your friends. They have friends. They are social. They do well in school, and they're basically not a headache. I think that's what I would say. A good child is one that you don't need to be constantly worried about. And my parents never needed to be worried about me.
Okay.
And I'm sure we'll get into it. I had some interesting excursions to the boundaries of the rules at school.
Yeah.
But it never went home. It was never so bad that they had to call home and come get me. Or actually, one time I got a after school detention for a couple of days. We thought it was when COVID hit. I don't know if you remember this. COVID hit.
Did Laura give you the detention?
Yeah. Was this 2020 or 2021?
Oh, it was year 12. Oh, actually, no.
Maybe if it was year 11, I wouldn't have known
Yeah,
about
I
it.
don't think. But you might have heard about it anyway.
It was infamous, was it?
Yeah. Wait.
Do tell.
A group of friends and I decided it'd be really funny for Free Dress Day to be on theme with COVID. And we all dressed up in hazmat suits. So there was a line of, 20 of us walking through the school in hazmat suits. And the school thought that was incredibly insensitive. Which in hindsight, it kind of is. So they sat us all down and they said, after school detention for all of you for a week. You have to clean gum off the tables and everything. So, all right, cool.
In
and
your hazmat suits?
Yeah,
No,
I feel like that would have been the appropriate wear, right?
No, they would just extend it if we did that. But, fate loves irony. And COVID hit and schools were closed, so we never served it. And it went unserved to this day.
That's hilarious.
Isn't that funny?
I think we can let the school know.
Go back.
Yes.
Yeah, tell them about my experiences. But yeah, got to celebrate the small wins during COVID,
I want to circle back to the idea of testing the perimeter.
Yes.
How does that serve you to test the perimeter?
I look at humans as a optimization machine, if you will. And if you're optimizing any game, you want to know what the rules are. If you're playing football and you don't know where the edge of the field is, how can you know how fast and hard you can run around the edge? Like I'm trying to win in whatever I'm doing. Most of the time, I'm pretty competitive with myself. So, yeah, I like knowing what the limits are. Not in a way to annoy people, but it's good to know. I don't want to accidentally fall off the edge. I'd like being intentional. I like knowing that I can do something. I can be confident in it. I can invest time, resources, money, whatever it is into what I'm doing because I understand it. If you don't understand the edges, you don't understand it.
Do you think that's a natural teenage thing to do?
I've always been an old man, unfortunately. Yeah. I don't know. And I think a lot of that probably comes from my childhood in Iran.
Right.
Because it's very prescriptive. And so you're always hitting walls. And then I came here and I wasn't hitting walls. I'm like, where are these walls?
Right.
So it was kind of a continuation of how I was feeling. It's like, what are the limits? How far can I push this? So yeah, everything goes back to childhood to some extent. I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
Shayegan, so I'm already starting to pick up on this idea of like intentional, this focus on like your autonomy.
Yeah.
Very important to me.
You said
freedom is the most important thing.
Yeah, and I remember I saw that in the form that you completed for
Yeah.
us, but you even said, so I did what I needed to. So I'm thinking of, because it sounds like you've really thrived during school. You tested the boundaries, worked out the perimeters. How did you know to do what you needed to? Because I'm just trying to think of our listener.
Yeah.
They're going to have kids probably going through this, or they're a kid doing it. So it's like, how did you know what you needed to do?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I think if you sit silently for a while, you will know what you need to do. You can imagine the best future for yourself in as much detail as possible. Who are you with? Where are you? I think these are some of the questions you should answer when you're young. Where are you going to live? Who are you going to live with? And what are you going to do? It's like the three fundamental things. Everything else you can build with that. Imagine your life and imagine what you want it to look like when you're X age, whatever. If you're 16, that age might be 30. That's old, right?
How dare you?
I know. But
Yeah.
imagine what you want your life to look like and then backfill it. What do I need to do to get to the life I want? And then do the inverse. What do I want my life not to look like? And then say, I should do well in school. Like that, it seems like a thing that will get me to where I'm going and take me away from the thing I'm trying to run away from. Have some goal, a light at the end of the tunnel to run towards, and a bear chasing you so you can run away faster. And that is a really good way, I think, to be aligned. Find the direction you're going. This may be a little bit mathematically minded of me, but if you think of life like a vector, you look at it, you need to find the direction you're going and then push as hard as you can to go as far as you can. But if you're going the wrong direction, it doesn't matter how hard you push, you're not going where you want to go. But I think that's the message, is like, you can have the life you want, but what is what life you want? And what are you going to sacrifice for it? It will have a price.
When did you get clarity on that life you wanted? Because I feel like there's probably a lot of listeners here that are like, but I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I'm 21.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Like, what are the glimpses maybe so that you know what direction to follow?
I think first is recognizing that there isn't one answer, and at all times there's going to be a process of successive approximation. That's what I think Dostoevsky says. That's the definition of truth, is a process of successive approximation. So you are successively approximating what you want that future to look like. And it's a bit shaky and hazy because it's 20 years away. You don't know. You could die tomorrow. So what was your question? Sorry.
How do you get the clarity on those next steps or the glimpses towards the future?
I just do that process very often.
Right.
And when I remember I was in your class and I was very motivated to pursue medicine.
Yes.
And that was the future that I had imagined, and I was going towards that. And over that period of time, I realized that this isn't the future I want, right? My approximation had some error. And that's not a life-breaking, terrible tragedy.
Absolutely.
That's actually a really good thing.
Yeah.
I became a little bit closer to the life I want. And so I decided I didn't want to do medicine anymore. And that was after I'd given it a pretty good try. I did the UCAT, which is the entrance exam for medicine.
Yep.
And so I chose engineering. And there were a couple of factors that led to that. There was my friend Caleb, who decided that he wanted to do engineering. And until that point, I realized I'd never really thought about it.
Right.
And then I realized this is like, I like this stuff. Like one of the things that felt like a real sacrifice to doing medicine was that I wouldn't need to do more math. And I was like, I enjoy math. So why is this the sacrifice I'm going to make?
Yeah.
So maybe that isn't the right option. And so he kind of opened my eyes to what engineering is.
But doing what you needed to,
Yeah.
there's quite a few things under that and it was so helpful you spelling that out, Ben. So even you just building in some time to think.
Yeah.
Then there's you
Think a lot.
having a process, or even just thinking, well, what is it that I would like to be doing in the future? And it's not necessarily a set goal, but it's like a direction to guide you. And then the third thing that I listened to you say then was, then you backwards map, like you work backwards and say, okay, so what are my first steps to start going towards that?
Yeah.
And you know that it might change. And that seems like that's the fourth thing, is to do what I need to do, you're aware that might need to change depending on more information you get or as you learn more stuff.
That's right. I think a very important thing, especially when you're young, is just try to be wrong often. Like, you don't need to get it right. Just be wrong quick and then get over it. It's
I
fine.
actually love that.
Yeah.
Be
Fail
wrong
quick. Yeah. Fail quick. It's great.
Yeah.
Like, even in business, you have a great business idea. Everyone has a great business idea. Most business ideas are terrible ideas. And it's not about the idea. It's about the execution. So you need to get good at the execution. So just do it. Execute. Fail. Now you've learned something. Next time when you execute, hey, I learned how to make a website. Next time, that's 2 seconds. Hey, I learned how to do accounting. Now that's a skill. And you just build this skill set into reaching to the goal that you want. You can't really one-shot things, I don't think. It's very difficult to one-shot get to exactly where you want to go and be maximally successful and rich and fit and have all these things at once. I don't think it's achievable for most people. Most people are pretty average.
Is it okay if I ask you about a recent failure, like for a specific example where you completely stuffed up, failed?
Yeah, I fail often. I'm wrong about many things. I failed a unit at university last year. I did not do as well as I should have. I didn't put the time in to study. I was doing an internship with a motorsport team at the same time and doing full university course. And the internship was like 35 hours a week. Right. And full-time engineering and having a job and having a girlfriend
It
and
seems
having
like
a
a
business.
failure of time management, really.
Well, I didn't want to make the sacrifice of which one is more important to me. And I think there is a price to pay. If you want to do anything, you need to pay a price. And that's not a bad thing. So after I failed that subject, I decided, I need to reorganize my time. So I left my job. I kept the business because that was important to me. I didn't want to close that. And I continued with the motorsport team until I felt that my time there was, the things I wanted to learn there were done. And then I redid that subject and I went from a fail to distinction something. So you fail often. That's
what did you learn from that? So as you said that out loud, there was a couple of times you just had a big smile as you were saying that. So what's the thing that you've taken and learned from that?
It's fine to fail. Just learn. I am so much the course I failed was C programming, and I am so much better than I was last year.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it now because I put in the time to go, okay, I failed it. Let me just do it again. And I'm very fortunate in that I have the time and the money, and I'm not an international student. I don't need to pass. My parents are very kind. I don't need to pay rent. Like, I have a lot of these advantages that most people possibly don't have. So I can afford to fail, where a lot of people may not be able to. And I understand that for some people there's so much stress that me saying, oh, just fail, it's fine, comes from a place of, I fail, nothing happens. But for some people it's, I have to pay $40,000 or my student visa will get revoked or whatever else it might be. So find what your limits are, find what it is that you can, it's like they're saying investing, what can you afford to lose?
Yeah.
Or gambling. It's a better,
the risk to reward
yeah.
ratio.
But there's
a good perspective.
Did I answer your question? Did I
You
ramble?
did. No,
So
you
I
definitely
tangent
did.
a lot, so feel free to bring me back.
But that's our job. We'll bring you back if we need
thank
to.
you.
That's fine.
You're very good. Thank you. You're very good at listening, by the way.
You said about education that it gives you ownership, exploration, and discipline.
Yeah.
Why did you come to those three words?
Discipline's my favorite word. Yeah.
Lock in, mate.
Lock in.
Lock in.
the same thing. Yeah.
Say the list again. I'll try to go through each one.
Ownership.
Yeah, because I'll go one by one.
Yeah, ownership.
Because you own your results. Like, if you do bad, it's because you didn't put in the time, the effort, and there is some caveat to that. Some people are better at things naturally. There might be a IQ disparity, whatever. But assuming that most people are average, statistically true, you should be okay. And the results you get is the result of your doing. Your results are a lagging indicator of your input. So you own it. And that, to me, is really freeing. Because when I failed that, I just went, oh, great. Like, I don't have time management. So what I did is I made a spreadsheet and I just logged every second that I would study, I logged it. And I realized, oh my God, I'm spending so much less time than I think I am. It's always on my mind. So I think I'm working, but I'm not actually at my desk that much.
Yeah.
So then I went and found out that they say you need to study 144 hours per unit per semester. So I said, great, now I have a target. I'm just going to study 144 hours per unit per semester. And I did it, and I had my best semester ever. Like, you completely own the inputs, and the input is tied to the output. So you own the output. To me, that's really freeing.
And help someone understand a lagging indicator, because in case they're not familiar with that wording, because it sounds like you took lagging indicators and then created some leading indicators to help you too.
Yeah, sure. Well, all I mean by that is you can't directly influence the result.
Yep.
You can only input what you input, and the input is your time, effort, your study habits, the way you study, all these things that in a school context. And so there's a lag, there's a time delay between the time you sit and study and the time that you get your grade. And so all you can change is your inputs. And coincidentally, this is why I like math and physics, because that time delay is as short as possible. If I write an English essay, it takes me 10 hours, and then I have to send it to you, and it takes you 2 days to mark it, and you send it back to me, and it takes time. But with math, you just do the equation and you look at the back of the book. And that feedback loop is so quick, you can get good very rapidly. And I like that.
I get it.
Yeah.
The next one was exploration.
Yeah. You can do anything you want. It opens doors when you do well. And I think that's very good. That's all I have.
That is the most concise answer. And the last one is discipline, which you said is your favourite.
Yeah. Again, it links back to the first thing. If you're disciplined and you consistently put in good effort, which is that first point, then you will do well and you will get the things you want. You will get to that final output, that final life that you dreamt for yourself, if you're disciplined. And I think it's very hard to be. It's a very easy word to say, very hard to do. But that's why I think for most people like me, I just have to have mechanisms of being disciplined. For example, I realize that if I just get up in the morning, and if I get up early, I'll do my work. Okay, so I'll just get up early. And then if I just go straight to my computer, I'll do a couple hours before I even know it, before anyone's up, before anyone's texting me, before anything's happening. Great. So now I have a couple hours of head start that I can just do every day. I just get up, go straight to the computer, study for a couple hours. When I get tired, I don't feel, oh no, I need to keep pushing. I just go and have a break, and I'm already ahead. So it feels good.
Well, it's like that Atomic Habits book, isn't it? That's like what that's all based on.
Pretty sure that's where it's from. I think I read that book.
Your results are compounding. So just to help the listener with it too is, because I'm just thinking it's a really practical thing you're actually saying for someone listening is you've built in little study habits just to help you get ahead.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's incremental change that made a difference to you as well.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep, that's right. So yeah.
It's also like the Kobe Bryant, he calls it the Mamba mentality, where it was his idea was if I get up early and I train and someone only trains once a day, whereas if I can fit in one extra
after
bit of,
a year, that's 1,000 hours. Or
exactly right, it's going to add up.
Yeah.
So whereas with you took the approach of, okay, if you're saying I need to study this many hours, if I break it down into small chunks, look at each week, slowly move through, I should see the results that I'd like to see.
Yep.
Is it okay if I do a little summary about the pathway from you since finishing school?
Sure,
because
let's do that.
This is my favourite part when I'm reading through people's journeys. So, and there's so many stories in here. So finish school, there's a story unto itself there. Monash Uni, Masters Accelerated Engineering Program. You made it into that program. Yep. You then, at the same time, started a watchmaking company.
Yep.
Big shout out to King Watchmaking,
That's
also
right.
King Cyrus Watchmaking.
That's right.
Yes.
Then decided because of that, you then realised you didn't want to continue into the joint bachelor's and master's program, so you focused on the bachelor's program of engineering.
Yep.
Also jumped into a motorsport engineering internship.
Yep.
What are the things when you hear that back, like what has been you're most proud of, or what are the things that have most stood out to you with that pathway that people should hear more about?
It's all hard. It doesn't get easier.
And you're saying that with a smile on your face right now. You obviously enjoy the challenge.
I think something that started as a joke with my friends and I, and eventually just became a habit, is just, if unsure, pick the hardest route. So if you're not sure, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that motorsport internship because they're like, oh, it's 30 hours a week, it's all this, it's so hard, you don't get paid for it, all these commitments in your holidays and everything as well. And I wasn't going to do it until the last day. And then I was like, oh, but this is the hardest route. I'll just apply.
Right.
And I did. And I got in. And it was such a difficult interview. And I still got in. And I feel really proud of that. That I really didn't think I'd get into that because that was right out of my first year. So I had really no engineering experience. I'd taken like 2 math units and basically fresh out of high school still. So I was very proud of that. The watchmaking business as a whole is very difficult, as anyone that runs a business will ever tell you. I mean, Elon famously calls it looking into the abyss and chewing glass. And I think that's probably pretty accurate for most businesses, especially at the start.
Yeah.
So all of that has been very difficult. And to me, that is worthy of being proud about. But I think it's interesting with the difficulty and worthiness thing. I think a lot of maybe smart people or hardworking people will assume that, we say any good thing is hard, but they assume that the inverse is true. And I know I just kind of said that, but I'm telling you that there is nuance to that. And a lot of my opinions conflict. And I think that's okay because I'm 21. My goal is by the end of it, my opinions should be one cohesive, put together, integrated opinion. But currently, it's not.
Well, and things always change too. That's the other thing. Like our understanding of the world and our experiences change. Like it's similar to what you said when you sit on your bed and you're picturing where you want to get to. Yeah. That's at that point in time. But then the next day something else might change.
You have new information.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just approximate with the best information you have, and you never think, oh, I wish I knew.
Yep.
Or if I invested $1 into Bitcoin when I was born instead of, buying nappies or whatever. I would have been rich. You can't do that.
So at school, you did what you needed to, and then you had this score. The reason before when you told us the score too, and I said, oh, it's an amazing score, is it's in the top 10%, right?
Yeah, it's a great score.
So by definition, that's really amazing. Your perspective was, I was just doing what I needed to do. You also then had this, what people would perceive as a very successful score. You've then gone through, transitioned into this pathway, created a business that's still going now as well. In itself, that's really successful. And then you're continuing to pursue challenge and you love learning. So what have you had to keep relearning that's helped you be so successful in these different ways?
Relearning. That's interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, I guess because you said before, things keep changing, right?
Yeah.
So your opinion keeps changing. So I was thinking about asking you, what have you had to unlearn? But just getting a feel for you,
a lot.
I get a sense that you relearn things. You have to teach yourself something different, or you might unlearn.
I've had to unlearn a lot, and I think that comes with being born in Iran. A lot of, let's say, mostly religious things that are taught to you when you become a little bit indoctrinated, all that had to be relearned. And that was a very difficult lesson. But that also gave me kind of the mistrust I need to not take anyone's word as gospel and be able to challenge anyone about anything. So I think that's good. But I've had to relearn a lot.
No, that focus on questioning. It sounds like there's a thing around questioning and realizing there's different ways of doing it.
There is just no truth. I think that's
critical thought. I would say rather than mistrust, it sounds like there's a positive criticism that's coming and
of
like
everyone and everything.
Yeah.
Always.
And how has that helped you and continue to help you now? Because I think that's a really interesting thing for people listening, is that it's okay to question. It's okay to see that there's different ways of doing things. How has that helped you?
It's helped me reason through any problem I have, kind of from first principles, from the atoms up, what makes sense from a physics standpoint, instead of what has someone said, I'm not reasoning by comparison or analogy. I tend to reason through first principles. If this makes sense through physics and you're telling me it's impossible, you're wrong. And that lets me take on challenges that most people would just automatically discredit as, no, that's too hard, or that's never been done before, which I think helped me in motorsport when we were making an electric race car. That's what it is. And there are parts of that you go, oh, has someone done this before? And they go, no. And you go, why not? And it's just because no one's done it before.
Right.
And well, it's clearly possible, so why haven't you done it? And if you can show analytically that this is better and it's worthwhile, then you should do it. And I think so. It's helped me as an engineer.
Yeah. No, you already strike me as someone that you dig in and you drill down to work out why or how or what. Yeah. And then you make decisions.
Yeah. And that's why I found English very difficult, because it was always just like, the curtains are green. Why?
Well, I have to explain this, right? So there's a meme. It's a very popular meme that it's like a Venn diagram, and it has something like, if you're watching a film and the curtains are blue, right? The English teacher's like, well, the curtains are blue because clearly it's a melancholy scene and they're feeling sad, and you're supposed to sort of draw all the setting and the costume and the things all together to create meaning. Yeah. And the other side of the Venn diagram is like, they just had blue curtains, right? The director didn't care. No one cared. That was all they had.
Saw it.
and Shayegan, every time I'd start talking and digging in, we did Rear Window, to the setting and the costume and drawing it together. And Shayegan's like, but maybe the curtains are just blue, miss.
He's just comfortable in those pants.
Yeah, that's right. Could it just be? And there's validity in that too, right? Because I think sometimes we search for meaning in places that there isn't any. Yeah. And I'm an English teacher. That's the role. That's the job, Yeah. But I think the beauty of like working with you was that I was like, you know what, for you, the curtains are just blue.
Yeah. And
we're not gonna go any further on that. Yeah. What is it that you can see, and how can we use that that makes sense? Because you're not ever gonna see something that I want you to see.
That's right. And I always felt like I was trying to write what I thought you would want me to write.
No.
Which is not a good way to do well in anything, and it's very against my personality. So it always felt like I'm going against the grain. It's not how I think. And I think a lot of that is because I can't derive how the curtains are blue. In math, you can decompose any equation and go back to Newton, the apple fell on his head, and this is how it all works. And if you put it all together, 500 equations, you get to where you are. It makes sense. Like Richard Feynman teaches quantum physics, and he starts by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on his left hand. And he goes all the way up, and you can do that. But you can't do that with English. And I always went, but why?
Yes.
Because I was very sensitive to that, because I was like, not directly you, but...
No, you can say what you like.
I was like, okay, I can't derive it. I can't get to the truth of the matter. Therefore, you're lying to me, because that's what happened in Iran. And so I was getting that same feeling. I was thinking...
It's unsafe. Feels unsafe.
Yeah. You're telling me to just believe, and that's what I've just kind of fled from. So I'm not doing that. And I think that's where I got a little bit disagreeable.
For sure.
But I think we kept it pretty civil, and I
No,
always
but
told
we
you
were-
that I respect you, but I
We
just
were
can't
respectful. We
get
were
attached.
respectful.
Yeah.
And I also didn't ever need you to write anything you didn't believe in. And I think that's a message for anybody listening, especially in English. Like, we think that there's a right way of doing anything. And the best thing about English is no.
Yeah.
It's
which
what
is the
do
thing
you...
I struggle with.
Yeah, but it's a hard one. It's a hard one. But I think that's, you have to come to it from your place of understanding and your interpretation. And that's always going to get you a better piece of writing or a better result, I think,
Yes.
than doing what you think somebody else wants you to do. I think there's certainly a
And you
lesson
enjoy
in
it
that.
more.
100%.
Yeah. But I'm happy to
I mean,
say
you
the
slept
last
through a
essay I ever
window, but-
wrote was for you. Well, for VCAR, but for you.
Yes, yeah.
Ah, yeah,
haven't
the
had
connection
to.
to the teacher makes a big difference. I want to come back to, so there's two pathways. I'm thinking of, so the person listening, they might be themselves in high school or they've got a child in high school.
Sure.
And there's two pathways that you took simultaneously. So you went down the university pathway, learning, and
Yeah.
entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
starting a business.
I've always just had a passion for it.
That's great.
Yeah.
What do people need to know about the entrepreneurial pathway that you've discovered by doing this?
I don't feel like I'm far enough along to give advice because it's not evident that I've become successful in or however you define that.
Yeah, how do you define it?
Well, we'll get to that.
Push back.
Yeah. But I think the only advice, which is the advice I heard, was just do it. Just do it. Figure out if it's going to work. And if it works, then great, you got your answer. And you got it quickly and you're 2 years ahead. And even if you did it not the perfect way, you still have a 2-year head start on the person that's sitting there thinking about, the perfect way to launch this brand and how do I get the supplies. Like, just go on wherever you're going. Let's say you're selling mugs. Okay, just go make a website. It's very cheap. Just get an ABN, get a bank account. You can do all that in like a few days. Pay someone if you have it. I didn't have any money to pay anyone, so I just had to like sit and figure out how to do it. But with AI now, you can do it so quickly, and it can tell you about your blind spots and what you need legally and everything else. So that's my only advice with business is, if you're interested, do it. But it certainly does not seem like a shortcut to making a lot of money very quickly for most people. And I think there's currently this trend of like entrepreneurialism in social media, and that's great. I think there should be more entrepreneurs. Like, go take risks, but that's what it is. You're taking risk, and by virtue of the fact that you're taking risk, most people will probably lose their money, and that's okay. Just put aside enough money that you're happy to lose for this experience, and it's not even losing. I'm happy to spend $5,000 to learn how to launch a business, talk to customers, have a social media account, have a bank account, make some products, and see if someone likes it.
Can you share off air? We were talking about when you started, and I asked you the question about, well, how did you know about King watchmaking? How did you know that you wanted to actually start making watches?
Yeah.
Is it okay to
Yeah,
share like that moment from thinking to executing, to share that story?
I wanted a watch. My dad always wore watches, so I grew up with watches, and I always liked them as a kid. I never really had a nice watch, like I like diver watches with the bezel that clicks. I find that very satisfying.
There's a big smile on his face as he
Talking, yes.
So my friends and I went to several different retailers.
How old are you at this point?
16?
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. 15. And yeah, I just saw a lot of them, and I liked some and I didn't like some. And I've always been a little bit mechanically minded, and at the time I was making computers just as a side hobby, and then recently and then after that I worked at Centacom where I made some computers as well, and I thought, how hard could it be to just build a watch? So I'm always an optimist. This is a good thing and a bad thing, but inherently I am extremely optimistic. I think in a room of 100 people I'd be like the top 10 most optimistic people. And so I thought, how hard could it be? Which is how all great businesses start. And yeah, I just sat down and tried to do it. I didn't want to pay what they wanted to pay, and nothing was quite perfect. So I wanted to try it.
And you took a first principles approach, right? Like, you got all the parts.
That's right.
And then you assembled them.
Yeah, and then I went to school, and one of my friends said, "That's a nice watch." I'm like, "Thanks, I make them." He's like, "Can I buy it?" I'm like, "Yes." And I sold it to him for $300 or something, and that was a lot of money for me.
Yeah.
And
Still
then I went,
a lot of money.
It
for
is.
you.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
And then I went, hang on, if one person wants it, maybe more people want it. So I just kept iterating, different products, different I got better at making them myself. Like it's very difficult to make it. One of the most difficult parts is like not having any dust in any of the watch parts, right?
Yeah, right.
So you have to have a very clean environment. You have to have
hazmat.
yeah.
That he kept from that
I still
detention
have it, actually.
situation.
It's just a paint suit, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But assembling it takes a lot of focus. It teaches you to be very steady for a long period of time, because if your hands shake and the hands bent, oof, that's it, all done. Yeah. What was your question?
No,
You've answered it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also mindful of people hearing a little bit about the business too, because I just think it's such a great thing. Do you want to tell people just a little bit about it?
Yeah.
Well, I've always been very into Persian history. Obviously, I'm Persian, and we're a very proud bunch. So I wanted some way to share a little bit more of the history with everyone. So that's why it's King Cyrus Watchmaking, named after the King of Kings. And everything has some Persian symbolism. Oh, I've brought you a prop.
Do you want me to go get it? I can go get it.
Sorry.
Yeah, you go get it. Step over the couch. A prop.
So our first prop as part of the episode.
I think so. But I've got to say,
this episode.
Prior to sitting down and recording, we were having a coffee, and Dan and Tom, who you would have heard on the podcast, were looking through the watches, and I would say both are watchy nerds, and I think you've sold some watches today. That's how impressed they have been with the watches.
Absolutely, and we've got no investment or anything in the company. We do need to say that.
Other than us wanting you to be highly successful, but no, we have no affiliation. No. So we're looking at watches currently right now.
So we are looking at this frame, and it has in leather the symbol of an ancient Persian religion, and on it says "good act, good thought, good word," and at the bottom it says "their way in the world is just one, and that way is the truth." And that is the basis of a Persian religion that little people follow now. But this is the logo of the business as well. Wow. A lot of people ask me what it is, and yeah, that is basically my philosophy when it comes to most things in life, is aspiring to basically be a good person.
Yeah.
I brought this to give to you if you'd like to give it.
Of course. I didn't realise. Thank you. Of course. I would love that. Thank you.
But yeah, try to be honest. That's something that my girlfriend and I, we used to play Monopoly, and we realised that...
Don't play with Tom, he's a cheater.
I'm not allowed to be the banker.
Neither's Tom.
Well, so this was us too, right? We realised that we're having fun, but every time we're playing and one of us is a banker, we're cheating.
Yeah.
And then we were just on the drive home and we're like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest. And so since then, we've never cheated at a board game, and it's been just as fun. And I still win every time in Monopoly. So you're on.
We'll do that post podcast.
Yeah. Monopoly game. After all that,
yeah,
I'd love to know what you're still learning and still building, because you made this comment about you're sort of on this trajectory, but you are still building something. Yeah. What are you building? Maybe
you could split it into soft skills and hard skills. That's a good resume way of doing it.
Yeah, I like it.
The soft skills, I'd say, is trying really hard to be completely honest at all times with everyone, trying to have good thoughts, which to me means thinking kindly, assuming kindness from people, not assuming that someone's out to get you, and talking kindly about people, because I think at the end that's what matters. I think in the pre-interview I wrote that I've been to some funerals since school, and never is it about how much money they had or what degree they had or anything. And of course it's not, because while that's important to that person, it's not the most important thing. And the most important thing is what your character was. If you were kind, if you were generous, if you talked badly about people, if you lied. And so this is the direction, and I'm not perfect, but I think it's a good thing to aim for. And I think it's a little bit lost because religion is I'd say it's reducing, especially among young people. And I'm not religious at all, but I think it had some good lessons about just be a good person that we now kind of either take for granted or don't actively think about. So I'd say that's kind of the soft skills, trying to understand people more. Leadership, which entrepreneurship and leadership to me are one of a kind. I'm always trying to be a better leader in class, outside of class, in my business, with the people I work with. If you're a good leader, you can have a good business, and not the other way around. So I'd say those are the soft skills.
Yeah.
And the hard skills, obviously I'm doing engineering. It's 1,000,001 hard skills I can tell you about.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was what advice you would give to parents of students who are, at the end of their education. I remember you saying in your pre-interview something around understand how they learn or how they think and how they synthesize information. I'd love you to talk to that a bit.
It's very easy to think about school and grades like you're rowing a boat. And the two mechanisms you have is the size of your paddle and how hard you row. But I think there's a third element, which is like the angle of your row. If you're rowing and the paddle isn't really in the water, it's not going to matter. And I think that angle is how you learn. And for me, flashcards and mind maps never worked. Like when teachers said do that, it was always, okay, I'm going to spend 5 hours doing something that has no value to me. For me, I realized early on, it's just repetition. Like I am a chimp. I just need to do 4,000 examples. My biology exams, I think I did like 39 full exams, something ridiculous. And to this day, I'm the one in class always emailing professors, hello, can I have the 1995 exam, please? Because I'm just not going to learn otherwise. Some people, like I have friends that are so unbelievably smart. I talk to them for 2 minutes. I'm like, you have a 30 IQ gap on me. I can't keep up with you. They're just some very talented people. And maybe they don't need to do all those exams, but I do. So learn how you think. If you like cue cards and you learn from them, great. But like try to learn that early on so that you can use it forever. I'm not sitting there with cue cards anymore. I just smash exams. I brute force it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a value to that as well. Like everyone these days, and take this as one data point, that everyone these days is talking about balance and all these very good, healthy things. And that's very important. But at the same time, there are times in your life, maybe for a short period, a season, where you should just brute force it. Just go mental about it for a year and then take a gap year and have fun. Do whatever you need to do. But for me, it was just, put everything aside for that year in year 12. No partying, no doing anything crazy, just sit and study. And for some people that doesn't work because they get burnt out. But to me, like the way I think about burnout within myself is you get burnt out when the effort is really high and the reward is really low. But when you set the reward, when you set your expectation that the reward's going to come in a year, then I'm not worried that there isn't any reward in this meantime. I mean, maybe you can with like SACs and stuff, you have assessments, but set your expectations, knuckle down a little bit, lock in. Lock it.
I was waiting. I thought someone's going to say it.
We've been joking about it all podcast.
We have, yeah.
But, and I can see a nice circle back to the very start, which is about doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
And part of that was you get clear on, well, where do I want to get to? Right. What are the things I need to do? Well, let's work
I think
backwards.
everyone has, in a family, let's say, everyone has some responsibilities. And I think coming from a Persian household, maybe the responsibilities are a little bit more traditional. But the responsibility of someone in Persian culture that is under 25 is to study. Like you're not supposed to go work. You're not supposed to pay rent. You're not supposed to own a car or have any of these things. Your job is to sit and study. And that's the only thing you're really accountable for. And I like that. Because I think all my friends, I remember having friends in year 12 who are much smarter than me. I had so much potential, and for one reason or another, they were just working 30 hours a week at KFC when they didn't need to. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, that's not your responsibility right now. Obviously, some people have to support their family. That's different if you have to. But figure out what your responsibilities are. Again, I don't really feel too much peer pressure, I don't think. So it was very easy for me to just go, no, I'm not coming to a party. And no, I'm not going to have a job. And I don't care that you have more money than me in year 12. This is a long game.
Yeah, right.
I think that it sounds like there's a skill too, is because you spoke about that balance idea. So something that you're thinking about
macro
is,
balance.
Yeah, being able to zoom out
Yeah.
and see right now it's a bit out of whack.
Yep.
But you're actually zooming out to say, but over time it will be balanced out if you put in the hard effort now.
Yeah, that comes very naturally to me. I'm the kind of, I started like investing my money when I was like 16 or 17, trying to pay people that were 18 money to invest my money because I was too young to invest it. And that's just because I'm so comfortable with oh yeah, I'll have this in 30 years. But I think a lot of people struggle with that. They want kind of this immediate gratification.
Instant gratification is huge at the moment. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I also wonder too if it sounds like you've got some models as well as you've come up with your own thoughts too, but about sometimes people, they haven't been given those mindsets or those ways of thinking. So I think the thing that's really interesting having you on today is if someone walks away listening to this is you're offering them really practical ways to help them think. Yep. And that might be a way they might model to their kids as well, about that there's different ways to approach this and to zoom in or zoom out.
And I think if you're a parent, it could be really useful to kind of operationalize some of these words and feelings we have. And this guy, we talked about, Alex Hormozy, he does this really well, and I really like what he does, because he takes a word like, you might go commitment. And we all have some idea of what that means, but he's just like, that means the elimination of alternatives. And now you have a very operational thing to do. Let me just eliminate alternatives, and then I will be committed. And he does that with a lot of words, depression, everything else. And once you go, oh, okay, that's how I'm feeling. Okay, great. Now I have something to do to fix it, and that gives you ownership, and then you can be disciplined about it, and we can circle back.
Yeah. Do you want to finish with your question that you like to?
So here's a question I normally like to ask at the very end. So it's, what haven't we asked you about that we should have?
Ooh. How to build a race car.
Right, everyone. So for the next episode, we will. No, but actually, it's really fascinating. So, what's something that, talk to me as if I'm an absolute idiot, which I potentially am, is what's the one thing I need to know to build a race car?
Okay, attack bottlenecks, right?
As in like a literal bottle.
Take it and squish it. No, in anything you're doing, as I said, I really see myself as an optimization machine. And so I'm trying to optimize things. And I think the best way to optimize things is you look at the bottlenecks, which is, imagine if, everyone gets what a bottleneck is, yeah?
Yeah, wherever you're seeing blockages and everything getting all caught up.
Where is the system slow? And attack that. For example, when you're building a race car, it's all good to add 200 more horsepower. But hey, is the limit your tires? Is the limit the aerodynamics? Is the limit the fuel usage? Like, what is the limit that you need to attack? And you just attack those one by one. And it lets you have a very zoomed in focus on one problem at a time. Because if you look at a car, there might be 10,000 unique pieces. And that's incredibly difficult to optimize. And with each one, you could get 2% gains doing whatever, making any part. You can engineer this microphone for 100 years and make it absolutely perfect. But there's no point.
Yeah.
Figure out what the limit is. And again, to do that, you need to understand what the boundaries are. Like, what can this do and what can't it do? And then why isn't it doing that? Why isn't this at 100%?
I don't know if I actually read this out, but I've written here for your intro, focus on improving what already exists. Did I read that out?
Is that what I
didn't?
said?
No, I have it written here. And I must have gotten distracted when I was doing the intro.
Focus on improving what already exists.
That was something that I believed about you in year 12.
Yeah.
Did you get his old report card?
Yeah, you
no,
should
it's funny.
bring that
No,
up,
it's funny.
actually.
Just that was my remembering.
Do you have access to those report cards?
Probably.
Oh, it'd be awful. He's nice, but boys, he's just not there.
He doesn't get that the curtains are blue.
No, doesn't get it.
Can I share a family thing? So thinking of the bottleneck. So something I'm just super practical. Bottleneck we used to have is sometimes when my kids all come home. So we've got 3 girls and they all come home. There's a literal bottleneck through the doors. Everyone's coming in. But I'm similar. I like to work out, well, where are the issues that are occurring? And so when they'd all come in late at night, when we're trying to all have dinner and we want to get settled, one of the kids, my middle one, would normally amp the rest up.
Yeah.
So my thing was, well, what do we need to do if what we're wanting is to have a really nice, lovely family dinner? What do I need to put in place beforehand to eliminate that? And I was literally giving her a cuddle before we went in. So I'd give her a hug. So the other two would go through and they'd be talking to each other.
Yeah.
She'd get that one-on-one time and then I'd put her back down.
Yeah.
She'd go in. So then we had a calmer dinner.
And you didn't need to buy a new door.
I didn't have to buy a new door.
You are a certified engineer.
Well, I don't know about I will take that very much.
He looks very humble in that.
Anyway, sorry. Thank you for letting me share that.
That was very innovative of you.
Thank you.
You deserve your title.
Last one. Any skills that you are planning to learn? Anything new that you're really focused on wanting to learn?
Again, hard skills, AI engineering is what I'm going to be focusing on for the next 2 years. I have my final year project coming up, so I'm picking projects to do, and I'm definitely going to do something AI related, because that is my degree. What's your advice to me? Like if you had
That's a good question.
Yeah, big picture person, but entry level jobs, how do you manage that?
I feel like this is a Dan Steele specialist
Oh, is
question.
it?
Yeah, I
On the
do.
spot.
You know, I just take the steps.
Yeah.
I feel like you're much bigger.
But at the same
Picture
time,
thinking.
I've tried to attack my bottleneck, which is the details, by making incredibly detailed things that make me care about hey, there's a nanometer of dust on this, that's not good enough,
Yeah.
which is a little bit unnatural to me, but I'm trying.
Well, it sounds like you're trying to master your craft.
Yeah.
And you sometimes can't shortcut that. You
No,
have to go to that
that's
level if you
Because there's
want to,
expectation.
if you want to get really good. But no, to go to your point, I think you've already got a process that works for you. So you like
Yeah.
to see where am I trying to get to, and then you spoke about backwards mapping. So I'd say if you're going into graduate level roles, but you can also play to your strength of seeing the future
Yeah.
and your big picture, apply the process to yourself for your career and the roles is work backwards. What do you want to see happening?
Yeah.
You're currently, you know where you're at. What are the first steps that you see to help you make progress?
That's right.
towards
But
that?
it's just get kind of bored. That's the issue. I'll do the things,
Yeah.
but it's, being in the details, I want to run around a little bit.
So knowing yourself as you do then, when you have stuck to it,
Yeah.
what helps you stick to it?
Stick to things that I want to do, like English essays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
or
English
like,
essays.
when
yeah.
because every job that we have, there's
Yeah.
going to be things that we just have to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
So what helps you stick when you feel like you don't want to?
I think something good about school is that you can't really give up. Like you can't leave. You have to go to school, right? Mostly.
Mostly. I was going to say, I've seen some people give up. But
Yeah. but I just forgot that changed when you got into like uni. So I just never thought about quitting.
Yeah.
Because it's just not an option. Like it's not an option. I'm so good. It's I forgot you were allowed to leave,
Right.
and so I just did what I had to do.
Yep.
And you
Right.
find things that you're interested in along the way.
Yeah.
Like first year, I really did not enjoy uni, and that was one of the reasons I pulled out of the master's program. The workload difference between high school and uni, I thought was humongous. More work, harder work, shorter deadlines, and it was just brutal.
So I think something that you said in there is based on what you're saying, the way that you stick to things is you realize it sucks or it's a really tough challenge,
Yeah.
but you choose to find a thing that you're going to get from it that then helps you stick to it.
Yeah, if I'm here, I've chosen to be here, right? Like no one forced me to do any of this, and everyone said it was going to be hard. No one told you life was easy. No one said engineering was going to be easy. And so when I'm in those moments, I just think, oh, this is what that hard actually feels like. Again,
Yeah.
like we say words, but we forget how they feel. This is what hard feels like. It's sitting there with like a week to go till the exam and you get nothing. So what are you going to do? You're just going to sit and study until you get it.
Yeah.
And then you get it and it's all done.
So given all that,
Yeah.
if you were me, what advice would you give you, given all the things, you got a framework, you got ways of accepting challenge,
Yeah.
finding the thing, sticking to it, not just saying words, but actually doing it? What
Yeah.
would be the advice? you'd
Keep
say?
going. Be consistent. I think that's the thing. you know?
Yeah, when you ask for advice, I'm like, I don't know if I could give you more than you've already just said.
Oh.
Don't you think?
Well,
100%.
Yeah.
my other question was, I like entrepreneurship, I like leadership, and I'm doing engineering. So I think the thing that's kind of, I don't want to say expected. What do you?
You can say that, and we can workshop it
Yeah,
after.
like management is the logical next step,
Right.
because then I get to kind of combine the two a little bit. But you can't get into management before you do the entry level jobs.
Yeah.
So how would you say you kind of fast track that? And is that even the right way of thinking about going about things?
We've had this conversation before, Dan and I and Ellen, Dan's lovely wife, how we often reflect on our first 5 years of teaching. And in those first 5 years of teaching, you become almost like your identity becomes, I'm a teacher, and everything about you is focused on that to the point that you really lose perspective, don't you? And there's no balance, and you're working constantly and you're reporting constantly, and every fiber of your being almost gets sucked into this thing, which is actually really unhealthy.
Yeah.
But everyone has to do it. Everyone has to go through those like 4 or 5 years of not understanding that there's another way of actually being a really good teacher.
Okay.
And so what I would say to you is those entry level jobs, you're like, I just want to fast track it to here. Everything you're going to learn in those entry level jobs, yes, they might not be exactly where you want to be, but it will make you a much better leader because you will have compassion, empathy, understanding for the people that you're leading.
Yeah, nothing worse than a leader that's incompetent.
Yeah.
Or doesn't understand the people that they're leading.
Yeah.
There's a fast track if you're intentional. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's some people where they're just not aware of what they're doing, whereas you're aware of what you're in control of and also what's out of your control, and what you're choosing to control is really intentionally learning and then starting to grow and expand. But I think it's like that leadership development is
There's some things you just have to experience.
Yes.
Maybe that's a better way. That's a better way of saying it.
Especially now in the world and the era that we're in with AI is, so if I'm using AI, or say I'm using ChatGPT and I'm engaging with it, what it feeds back, you can't shortcut expertise.
Yep.
So it might feed back things and hallucinate.
Yep.
But if I haven't spent the time to get really knowledgeable in an area, I
You
don't
won't know.
so I can't critique. So the worry now is if people think they can fast track their expertise. So it's investing really carefully and intentionally, the learning it and what you can understand. So then you can actually embrace and get the most out of AI, be more optimized, be more productive. But I think your thing is, if you're looking further ahead with leadership and management, like you want to be able to have the technical skills and expertise. And then as you go, if a great leader is only a great leader if they're aware they're only a leader if people are following. Like you can be ahead, but if no one's following you, you're not actually leading, right? So then as you grow, your role isn't to be the expert in how to do things. Your role is the expert of understanding people and how to get the most out of them. That's a very different skill set.
Which is what I'm very passionate in.
Yeah.
Which I think is really good, because in engineering you kind of have the stereotypes that people are really smart but they don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
But I really like talking to people.
Yeah.
But you also hear that the best leaders are the people that don't want to be leaders, and I'm just sitting here like, oh, but I want to be a leader.
I don't know if that's true.
I think a lot of it, I don't know, just my own perspective, I think a lot of the time people that are great leaders weren't planning on being
That's right.
leaders.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So am I planning too much? Should I just let it go a little bit
No, I think
and see if there is an opportunity where I could be needed to do that, then I will do that. But I shouldn't aim for it.
If you value people and the idea of progression, I think that you already have some pretty good values as a leader, and how you show up to lead, I think, will emerge in time.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll let you know. Couple years, be back.
Yeah.
Tell you about we have a leadership
yes.
leadership episode.
Season
Yes.
5.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, thank you so much, Shayegan, for coming.
Thank you. Had a great time. You guys are
It's
great.
so good. So good to see you after all
Do
these
this all
years.
day.
And that is more than a score.
Yes.
I don't know, I just threw that.